Day 7 of Alert Level 3. While we can take heart in recording no new cases today, the result reflects the situation that ultimately reflects the end of lockdown in Alert Level 4, not the effect of greater activity at Level 3. So despite this result, my message remains the same, as I note does the message of Dr. Ashley Bloomfield. Stay the course. We cannot afford to squander the good work to date when our end goal is so close and within reach. Next Monday, we will make the decision on whether or not we will move to Alert Level 2. That day represents the end of a 2-week life cycle, as it were, a period of transmission of the virus. We need every day between now and next Monday to know for sure that we succeeded in locking in the gains of Level 4, recovered effectively in our waiting room of Level 3, and are in the position to move down again and give New Zealanders back greater freedoms. In making our decision, we will be assessing if there have been low to no cases for several days preceding. It will mean knowing where every new case over the past 2 weeks has come from. It will mean ongoing evidence and confidence of no widespread community transmission. So we need to not get ahead of ourselves, stick to our bubble, and to finish the job that we've started. Related to this, the latest Google tracking data for the last weekend of our Level 4 lockdown came out over the weekend. Overall, it shows we did exceptionally well, and that for the duration of lockdown, we maintained very consistent levels of low amounts of movement. Trips to parks and places of recreation did experience an uptick in the last week, and that is something we need to keep an eye on at Level 3, just in terms of when we are out and about, maintaining physical distancing. However, we did better than many other countries we compare ourselves to, and the ongoing commitment to physical distancing and staying at home has no doubt been the biggest contributor to our rapid drop in cases at Level 4. Your efforts, New Zealand, have put us at the front of the pack, and everyone should feel very proud of that. Cabinet today discussed what Alert Level 2 would look like in the event that we move there and when we're ready to move there. I'll share those details with you on Thursday once the guidance has been fully written up and we can clearly communicate that to the public and to businesses. This will provide clarity and certainty and give people time to prepare. Please note though, as with our previous process, no decision has been made on moving out of Alert Level 3 at this stage. As we've done previously, you will receive clear guidance and clear signalling before any such move. In the meantime, the government is well advanced in our plans to get New Zealand moving and grow in the wake of COVID-19. Central to those plans in the budget is the budget in 10 days' time. Our hard and early health response to fight COVID-19 has opened up economic opportunities. Now, as we get the economy moving again, we look to both domestic and international opportunities to make the most of the head start New Zealand has with its recovery. But I need to warn you, the budget will continue the government's careful and balanced approach to running the books. With decreased revenue and the government taking on extra debt, we are being very careful to ensure that every dollar spent helps create jobs and sets us on a path to our country rebuilding better. Finance Minister will have more to say on this in his pre-budget speech this Thursday. One key aspect of our plan to get New Zealand moving is the work on the trans-Tasman bubble. Today I can confirm that I've accepted Prime Minister Morrison's invitation to participate via video link in the Australian National Cabinet meeting scheduled for tomorrow. The meeting will discuss a range of matters in relation to the COVID response on both sides of the Tasman, including the creation of a trans-Tasman travel bubble. I will update media on the meeting tomorrow, in fact just after the meeting. But it is fair to say such a meeting is without precedent and highlights both what's happened with the cooperation at a state level in Australia, and then also the mutual importance of our two countries and economies to each other. Both our countries' strong record on fighting the virus has placed us in the enviable position of being able to plan the next stage in our economic rebuild and to include trans-Tasman travel and engagement in our strategy. On to the segment loosely called Kiwi Ingenuity. I know that the biggest agricultural event in the Southern Hemisphere, our National Field Days, is still hoping to go ahead later this year. And this is an incredibly welcome plan that they maintain, considering the economic shot in the arm it gives our rural services sector. More than $500 million in sales last year, and the flow on that has for our regional communities, $183 million for the Waikato alone. But like many events across the country, they're planning to host these again only when it's safe to do so, and so that work continues. But in the meantime, that mid-June gap in the calendar will be filled with Field Days online. A virtual event I know the Field Days Society has been working on for some time, and one that can bring hundreds of exhibitors together, helping connect New Zealand and international companies at a time when our borders are closed. The world wants our quality food and fibre, and perhaps now more than ever, our high-quality ideas as well. Okay, everyone, I'm happy to take your questions.
Prime Minister, with the trans-Tasman bubble, what's the likely timing on that? You've always said it was quite long-term. Can you give us some idea of whether it's weeks or months away?
I wouldn't say that it would be in the very, very near short term. But look, that's something I'm happy to update you on. Once I've had that chance to speak directly with premiers and PM Morrison. But it's fair to say from the conversations we've had to date, we have a very similar perspective of the kind of timeline that both countries will want to run to. In our minds, the health of our people is incredibly important. In New Zealand, we don't want to give away the gains we've made, and nor does Australia want to see any risks either. But we also see a lot of opportunity.
Is it possible to say that there are more advantages for us than there are for them?
Oh, it's fair to say there are significant advantages for New Zealand in terms of a trans-Tasman bubble. Not only, of course, domestic tourism, but equally we have a flow of people travelling between both countries for business purposes, trade and so on. So it is to our advantage, but equally I will say that PM Morrison has equally articulated huge advantage for New Zealand from Australia, from our travel opening up to them as well.
Would you like to see what does not the very, very near short term mean?
Oh, don't expect this to happen in a couple of weeks' time. As you can imagine, we need to make sure that we're locking in the gains that all New Zealanders have helped us achieve, and make sure that we have health precautions in place to make sure we do this safely and well.
It's beaming into the Cabinet meeting tomorrow. Has that ever been done before? How unprecedented is that?
No, I don't believe it has been done before. We have had occasion where I believe Australian Prime Ministers have attended New Zealand's Cabinet with ministers, but as far as I understand, we haven't had something quite like this. In part, that's because of the unprecedented gathering together that's been happening within Australia as well.
Have you had any specific advice drawn up on this trans-Tasman at all? Is there a draft cabinet paper that you've looked at?
At this stage, we are working through a number of decisions around the border relating to both the ongoing quarantine and the way that will continue to work. You will have already heard me talk about the need to resolve issues around the ongoing funding of the quarantine mechanism. We'll need to, of course, then assess the ongoing movement of New Zealanders, and then within that, we're also looking at the trans-Tasman bubble. This is not an issue Cabinet has formally considered to date, but it's really at a point at the moment where ministers, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and myself are discussing it with our counterparts.
Just to confirm, the idea of it wouldn't just be that they could travel here, it would actually they could travel here and not have the 14 days quarantine. Because it wouldn't make much sense if they still had to wait the 14 days.
Yeah, so it is about really considering ourselves within a bubble where we feel secure that the relative response on both sides of the Tasman gives the assurance that that won't be required. So you can see why it is going to take us a bit of time to make sure we can do that safely.
Is there any hope for a winter ski season? Is there any hope for a winter ski season?
I'll give you further updates tomorrow. At this point, I do want to just moderate expectations, but the fact that we're even in a position as countries to have this conversation is a huge advantage to both of us.
Can that happen considering other Pacific nations in the trans-Tasman bubble?
Yeah, at the moment we are focused on Australia, but it is fair to say that there would be obviously particular